everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I know that Kim is ready to roll in the BevCam booth, getting us up and running. Thank you, Kim, as always. Before I officially call our meeting to order, I just wanted to take a moment to run through the agenda so we're all on the same page about what we have going on this evening. We will begin with some resolutions. We're honored to have Scouts from Troop 49 here with us this evening. We have 2 Eagle Scouts we're going to recognize this evening, so you'll hear more about that shortly. But thank you to all of you for joining us, as well as families of those Eagle Scout members. We will hear a presentation from Mayor Cahill just leading into the FY25 budget season. There won't be deliberation, questions, or discussion tonight because that will all begin starting tomorrow in Finance and Property, where Chair Councillor St. Hilaire will begin that process. Thank you, Councillor. We'll have some speakers, resident speakers who have signed up to speak. We have 3. Each one will be able to speak for up to 5 minutes. We'll take those folks as we can in the timing. We do have an 8 o'clock public hearing. Thank you to all of our speakers for your patience and flexibility as we get you in. And then, as I said, 8 o'clock public hearing and some routine business to take care of. We'll take a break for some subcommittee work, come back to finish it all up. So with that, I'll officially call to order this regular meeting of the Beverly City Council, Monday, June 3rd, 7 o'clock p.m. Ms. Kent, will you please call the roll?
Bowen. Here. Crawley. Here. Feldman. Here. Houseman. Rotundo. Here. Spang. Here. St. Hilaire. Here. Sweeney. Here. And Flowers.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Kent. Councillor Crowley, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and for all. Thank you very much, Councillor Crowley. I do want to take a moment before we jump right in with our resolutions and honoring our Eagle Scouts, just to acknowledge some of our city staff that are here, starting with Mayor Mike Cahill, who just walked in. Thanks, Mayor, for being here with us. Also, our Finance Director, Brian Ailes, is here with us, as well as Amit Chiani, our Assistant Finance Director. Peter Dickman, our Harbor Master, thank you for joining us. Both of our Chiefs, Fire and Police, Chief O'Connor and Chief LaLasher, thank you both for being here with us this evening. Ward 6 School Committee member Lorinda Visnick in her familiar seat in the back bench. Thank you, Ms. Visnick, for joining us. And former Ward 2 City Councilor Estelle Rand is here in a different role, not up as City Councilor, but Councilor Rand, former Councilor Rand, it's nice to welcome you back to Council Chambers. It's been almost a year, so I guess you said we could see you back in public at this time. It's nice to have you. And of course, our City Council budget analyst, Mr. Jerry Perry, is here as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Perry, for being here. So we will jump right in with our 2 resolutions for our Eagle Scouts. I'm going to move to the podium and invite our first Eagle Scout, Stuart Morin, to join me at the podium if you would. Which one? So Stuart, yeah, if you want to stand right here. So as I mentioned, we're honored to have Scouts from Troop 49 and their leaders and some family here to present these recognition of these Eagle Scouts. It's always a celebratory and wonderful occasion to be able to recognize Scouts when they reach this highest achievement in Scouting. And so Troop 49 has had quite a few Eagles actually come through here. So congratulations to the troop and the troop leaders. As we get into this, I want to just share a little background information about Stuart. Stuart lives now on Stanley Street with his parents, Deborah and Stephen. Older brother Finn, who is also an Eagle Scout, is here with him this evening. And Finn is also celebrating his college graduation. He just graduated, so lots of celebrations in this family. Yeah, that's... Stuart's scouting journey began when he was 6. He joined the Cub Scouts as a Tiger. And once he was a scout in the troop, he eventually held leadership positions of patrol leader, chaplain's aide, and troop guide, and also introduced the role of instructor of the troop. Is that right, Stuart?
Yes.
Yeah. Stuart's favorite memory of scouting, I always love to hear Scouts' favorite memories, is his first deep fry camping trip, which I feel like I need to get in on one of those. But Stuart says every December, Troop 49 stays in a cabin and sets up a deep fryer at night Every scout is allowed to deep fry whatever food items they've brought. On the first deep fry trip for Stuart, there were only 8 on the trip, and so Stuart remembers it as the perfect combination of cozy and quiet. So Stuart, let me share this resolution with you. Whereas Stuart Morin has been an outstanding, active, and involved member of Beverly's Scout Troop 49, whereas Stuart attended Cove Elementary School in Beverly for elementary school, Beverly Middle School for his middle school years, and was a class of 2023 graduate of Beverly High School before embarking on his next steps in his education journey as a student at Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. Whereas the rank of Eagle is the highest advancement rank in scouting and requires scouts to fulfill requirements in areas of leadership, service, and outdoor skills, requirements which Stuart has met with poise, determination, and excellence. Whereas to earn the rank of Eagle, a scout must demonstrate the many skills required to move through the ranks of scouting on the path to Eagle: tenderfoot, second class, first class, star, and life, and must earn merit badges along the journey that cover a wide range of skills and knowledge from first aid to citizenship, and must demonstrate their commitment to live by the Scout Oath and Scout Law as a sign of Scout spirit. Whereas Stuart embodies the character, the dedication to service and community, and the leadership skills that come with moving through those ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of an Eagle Scout. Whereas Stuart developed and successfully led a group of over 24 volunteers to complete his Eagle Scout project, renovating the children's garden at Cove Elementary School, as well as constructing and installing 4 sets of picnic benches and tables at the school, all with the goal of helping to restore and renovate the children's garden so that it can be, as it was when Stuart was a student at Cove, a beautiful and inviting outdoor learning space. Whereas under Stuart's direction and leadership, his volunteer team worked over 15 hours across 2 days to cut, build, clean, and renovate, resulting in a beautiful, renewed children's garden space, complete with inviting places to sit, to learn, and to enjoy the garden. Whereas Stuart has completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and has earned the rank of Eagle, with an Eagle Scout Court of Honor scheduled to honor Stuart's work and achievement on June 15th, 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beverly does hereby commend Stuart Morin for his excellence in community building, social and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 49, that the council wishes him all the best in his future pursuits and wishes him health, happiness, and continued success, and orders that the city clerk spread a copy of this resolution upon the city records. Congratulations, Stuart. To just say a quick word of congratulations to Stuart.
Thanks, Council President. There's no following that. Stuart, you're amazing. Thank you for giving back to the community in that way. I was a scout a long time ago, and we were Cub Scout 49 and Troop 50. You guys are Boy Scout Troop 49. But Beverly Scouting has been so wonderful for so many years, and you seem to be really churning out some incredibly impressive young people. Maybe churning is the wrong word, because for each person, it's an individual journey. I hope you're enjoying RIT so far. That is an incredible school and program, and I'm sure not only our schools, but scouting help prepare you for that. So thanks for everything you're doing and that you've done for our community, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And then Alexander Ganji, is AG here? I understand you go by AG. Come on up, Alexander. You also can come on over and join me at the podium if you would like. So as we heard, AG is also a member of Troop 49. Congratulations also to you. AG lives with his parents, Cindy and Victor Ganji, and 2 younger sisters, Karina and Sonia, at their home on Middlebury Lane in Beverly, His parents moved to Beverly in 2001, and AG and his sisters have lived in Beverly their whole lives. His favorite memory from scouting was leading a crew for a 9-day Philmont trek of 11 scouts and adults in the New Mexico high desert in August of 2023. So Alexander, let me share with you this resolution celebrating your accomplishment and the work that you've done along the path to earning your Eagle Scout. Whereas Alexander Ganji has been an outstanding, active, involved member of Beverly's Scout Troop 49, whereas Alexander attended Centerville Elementary School for his elementary years, followed by Beverly Middle School, and is currently a junior at Beverly High School. Whereas the rank of Eagle is the highest advancement rank in scouting, and it requires scouts to fulfill requirements in areas of leadership and service, to have outdoor skills, and all of these requirements are those which Alexander has met with poise and determination and excellence. Whereas to earn the rank of Eagle, a scout must demonstrate the many skills required to move through ranks of scouting on the path to Eagle, tenderfoot, second class, first class star, and life. They must earn merit badges along their journey, and these must cover a wide range of skills and knowledge, first aid to citizenship. Scouts must demonstrate their commitment to live by the Scout Oath and the Scout Law and to show Scout spirit. Whereas Alexander successfully completed that path toward Eagle, earning his Arrow of Light in 5th grade and going on to hold leadership positions within the troop, such as scribe, patrol leader, and troop guide. Whereas Alexander embodies the character, the dedication to service and community and leadership skills that come with moving through those ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of Eagle Scouts. Whereas Alexander developed and successfully completed his Eagle Scout project, the construction of 4 wooden benches for use in Bradley Palmer State Park, which included his work to obtain materials through local donations and to organize a team of volunteers to construct the benches and then to prepare the 4 distinct sites along the park's roadway, as well as installation of the benches, allowing park visitors to make use of them, as well as to enjoy the park's beauty along their walks. Whereas Alexander has completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and earned the rank of Eagle on February 14th, 2024, with his Court of Honor scheduled for September 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beverly does hereby commend Alexander Ganji for his excellence in community building, social and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 49. The council wishes him all the best in his future pursuits, wishes him health, happiness, and continued success, and orders that the city clerk spread a copy of this resolution upon the city records. Congratulations, Alexander.
So Alexander AG, first off, go back to when I was a scout. Your house wasn't there. The Minot Estate was, and we had our Boy Scout campouts maybe in your living room, which is kind of cool and old time, long time ago. But I do want to say, for Stuart's parents, congratulations to you and his brother, and I'm sure you're incredibly proud. I should have said that because I want to say this. I'm lucky enough to know your mom and dad some because I got to coach your sister Karina. So the first time I met you was as being a supportive older brother going to games and cheering, which means that your good deeds start right at home as a sibling. But it's clear from listening to what you've been doing, to be an Eagle as a junior in high school is incredibly, especially impressive. The project you did, like the project Stuart did, are going to provide, respite, enjoyment, opportunity for people for years to come. In your case, in Bradley Palmer, in his case, at Cove School. So these are just wonderful things you both are doing in and for our community. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you very much, City Councilors, and congratulations again. I would entertain a motion first to now officially approve Order 162. That's the resolution we heard commending and celebrating Eagle Scout Stuart Morin. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries 8-0. Congratulations, Stuart. And now, councilors, I would entertain a motion to officially approve Order 163. That's the resolution we just heard celebrating the achievements of Alexander Ganji. All those in favor? That also carries 8-0. Congratulations, Alexander. Scouts and families and Eagle Scouts, you are welcome to stay with us beyond the recess that I'm just going to invite us to take so that you can greet counselors or take pictures here in the chamber, whatever you would like, but you also are free to go at any point. So stay as long as you like for our meeting. We won't be offended if you decide to go. Counselors, I'd entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess. All those in favor? Thank you very much. We'll be back 10 minutes. Thank you, everyone. I'll call the full council back to order with our congratulations again to Stuart, to Alexander, to their families, and to their troop and troop leaders. We will go now to presentations, awards, and memorials. And tonight we have just one presentation. As I mentioned earlier, this is Mayor Cahill presenting the proposed FY25 budget. And for those who are just joining us, I'll just explain that you won't hear deliberation or questions tonight. This is just a beginning step on what will be a budget process throughout the month of June in our Finance and Property Subcommittee. And as I mentioned before, Chair of that subcommittee, Councillor St. Hilaire, will lead us through that process starting tomorrow night. Thank you, Councillor. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd invite you to present your proposed budget.
Thank you, Madam President. And I do need to say, it's great to see former Councilor Ryan. I just want to remind us all, she may be here, but she said we had to wait a full year before she'd be willing to volunteer for anything. So, but we're waiting. We're counting down the months. Okay, thank you so much. I've got a statement I'll read here, and I look forward to our work over the next few weeks. Dear Honorable City Council and residents of Beverly, I'm excited to share with you tonight the fiscal year 2025 proposed operating budget for the City of Beverly, Massachusetts. This proposed city budget is an expression of three key priorities. Our continued commitment to delivering the high-quality city services across all departments and the infrastructure investments our residents need, including over $4.35 million for roads and sidewalks during the coming fiscal year, a combination of proposed free cash, Chapter 90 funds from the state, and the proposed budget line item. A targeted, dedicated, and truly historic investment in our public schools, as we recognize and acknowledge the need for our city to competitively compensate our educators for the crucial work they do in educating our children. There is greatness in both teacher instruction and student achievement on display daily in our schools. We need to continue to raise the academic bar in every classroom across our district every day of the school year. Data confirms that we need to extend ourselves now to ensure we continue to attract and retain the great educators our children and our community need. And third, continued responsible raising of revenues and the tools to effectively manage delivery of high-quality services and infrastructure improvements. Please note that our proposed budget asks you city councilors to join the school administration, my school committee colleagues, and me in funding the largest one-year increase in city taxpayer dollars invested in our schools in at least the last 30-plus years, and very possibly the largest one-year increased city investment in our schools in Beverly's history. The proposed increase to our school budget is $5.6 million, of which $5,148,660 are new city taxpayer funds. We are asking you to join us and make this investment because our children need this level of education and because careful evaluation has shown that our district needs to make a significant investment to be competitive in attracting and retaining high-quality educators moving forward. To our educators, please know that we have listened and we are responding. In doing so, we ask our Beverly community and you members of the Beverly City Council to embrace these efforts, and we ask our educators to recognize the historic scale of this investment and the good faith represented herein. Members of the City Council, our request to you necessitates that we begin to recoup the community's unbudgeted property tax levy capacity in the amount of $700,000 in fiscal year 2025 in order to meet our collective bargaining obligations while continuing to deliver critical services and improve our city infrastructure. Further, we may need to recoup some to all of the remaining unbudgeted property tax levy in fiscal year 2026, as we expect our employee costs will similarly increase in year 2 of our next contracts. Over the last 3 fiscal years, residential property taxpayers across the region have experienced significant financial pressure as commercial property values have not kept pace with residential values. Recognizing this, 3 years ago, in fiscal year 2022, we, you and I together, for the first time in the 40-plus year history of the state's Proposition 2.5 law, We provided property tax relief to our residents by not increasing taxes to the state-allowed 2.5% annual levy limit. In fiscal years 2023 and 2024, we did the same. Over the last 3 fiscal years, we have extended approximately $4 million in tax relief to the city's taxpayers, meaning that $4 million stayed in our taxpayers' bank accounts available for their own needs. We took these actions for the right reasons, and our taxpayers have experienced the benefit. As we look ahead to fiscal year 2025, we cannot continue to extend all of this tax relief further and still deliver on our city government's commitments to the community. This is a necessary step we have arrived at after much consideration and effort in preparing this budget proposal. However, since our proposed fiscal year 2025 budget leaves us still approximately $688,000 beneath the allowable tax levy, taxpayers will continue to realize additional tax relief for the 4th consecutive year. Again, the only 4 years in the 40-plus year history of Proposition 2.5. To reiterate, we do anticipate that we may need to look to that remaining unbudgeted property tax levy capacity in preparing the fiscal year 2026 budget next spring. Our fiscal year 2022 proposed budget in total requests an increase of $8.5 million over the fiscal year 2024 approved budget. The largest portion of this increase is directly attributable to 2 things. As stated, the cost for our employees, since city government's core responsibility is to provide critical local services, and those services are delivered by our employees. And 2, other non-discretionary cost increases. Among these, most notably, are the city's federally and state-mandated pension contribution, which is budgeted at an increase of $639,384 over last year's level and maintains the current funding schedule. Trash and recycling costs, which are expected to increase by $100,000 to $130,000 this coming year. Cherry sheet assessments, i.e. assessments against our state aid, which will increase by roughly $71,000 due to numerous assessments increasing. City health insurance premiums are increasing by 6.5% in fiscal year 2025, which is expected to cost the city an additional $693,000. However, the good news is this cost is mostly offset by savings to both the city and our retirees by the mid-fiscal year 2024 transition of retirees' prescription drug coverage to the federal Medicare Part D plan. The net budgetary impact in our healthcare costs in this coming year's city budget will be roughly $55,000 when compared to last year. The Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical School assessment for the coming year is budgeted to increase by $688,161. And as stated earlier, the requested Beverly Public School appropriation is $78,267,000, representing an increase of $5,613,124 over last year. This increase is comprised of $464,464 in new Chapter 70 state aid funding. At least that's where we are at present, after the House and Senate have passed their budgets and before they reconcile and go to the governor for signature. But the increase expected, $464,000 in new Chapter 70 state aid, and again, $5,148,660 in new proposed city funds. Tonight, while I propose a budget for the specific fiscal year 2025, we know that decisions contained in this or any other budget have lasting effects that must be taken into account. I say with utmost confidence that this budget is prepared with that eye to the future. This budget will empower our city government to continue to deliver outstanding world-class services to our residents. At the same time, it will position us to continue in the coming years to generate strong economic growth locally and to successfully address the major capital projects we have agreed are important for our community's long-term success. As I shared with you during my State of the City address, I feel compelled again tonight to discuss city reserves. Over the last decade plus, we have built reserves which will be needed to carry us through the next recession. and which have contributed to us maintaining a stellar bond rating of AA+. These reserves consist of cash reserves and our stabilization fund. As of June 30th of last year, our stabilization fund balance was $18,640,000, which represents 11.23% of the proposed fiscal year operating budget for fiscal year 2025. Our free cash, or cash reserve balance, was $11,355,000, which represents 6.84% of the proposed fiscal year 2025 operating budget. Best financial practices advise municipalities to carry reserves to guard against revenue shortfalls and possible recessions. As a result of our financial structure and potential exposure, our policy targets a combined reserve balance equal to 13 to 23% of our general fund operating budget. At present, our stabilization fund and cash reserves total 18.1% of our proposed fiscal year 2025 general fund operating budget. This is consistent with our financial reserves policy and puts us in a strong financial position. However, please note two key considerations. One, we collectively look to cash reserves each year to help pay for needed one-time purchases, like our new fire department ladder truck, our new pumper truck, and to defray the cost of projects like the new police station, renovations to Central Fire Station, City Hall, our public library, and other building projects. With the help and counsel of Finance Director Brian Dales and his team, in addition to outside financial advisors and bond counsel, as well as your own City Council budget analyst, Mr. Jerry Perry, we collectively balance our demands for critical one-time, non-recurring city investments with our ability to replenish our cash reserves to healthy levels each year. Second key consideration, this year, the city spends an average of $2.2 million per week on our schools and city employees' payroll and health care costs. Well, we are further mandated by federal and state governments to spend $1.1 million per month to fund our pension system, and we also spend $753,000 per month to pay debt costs for our capital projects, such as our schools and police station. The employee costs are our most significant costs, totaling $127.6 million in fiscal year '24. Our debt service costs for fiscal year '24 total $9.036 million. Further, an additional small number of categories of non-discretionary spending obligations, including trash and recycling, snow and ice, Essex Tech sending tuition, charter school and school choice sending tuitions, MBTA assessment, special education tuitions for outside placements, utility costs across all city accounts, city insurance costs, and transportation for both special education and homeless students. These several categories total in excess of an additional $16.5 million in projected annual costs in our proposed fiscal year 2025 budget. From payroll and health insurance to pensions and debt payments to all the categories I just mentioned, these are the costs we are faced with every year, and these are the costs we need our reserves to cover when bad times arrive. Therefore, we need to continue our focus on strong reserves to see us through the next recession, as the very point of reserves is to ensure we are able to continue to educate our children, keep our residents safe, and provide enriching and meaningful services for all our residents whenever the next real economic downturn hits, and that we are able to continue to deliver those critically important services at a high level right on throughout any hard times. Let me say this again. Our reserves are meant to get us through a recession when revenues fall precipitously without wholesale layoffs and drastic deep cuts to critical services. These reserves are not meant to be used to outspend still strong and growing revenues during good economic times. They are meant to help us keep delivering the services people need and rely on right through the worst economic times and through economic recovery from those bad times. A last point on spending during a recession. Our reserves will not guarantee that we won't have to tighten our belts during a recession. Of course we'll have to. nor do they guarantee that there will be no reduction in staffing during a recession. There likely will need to be. Our reserves are intended to help us continue to deliver as much of what our community needs as we possibly can when that time comes. I am grateful to all city department heads, and particularly to Finance Director Ailes and his team, that I can say that the budget before you this evening contains what our community needs across all departments and at a rate of growth that is both responsible and sustainable in the future. And our proposed budget keeps us nearly $700,000 below the Proposition 2.5 tax levy limit once again, thereby providing tax relief for our Beverly taxpayers for the 4th consecutive year. I look forward to working with the City Council in the coming days and weeks as you conduct your budget deliberations. Thank you for your good faith partnership and your consideration of the proposed fiscal year 2025 City of Beverly operating budget that we present to you this evening. Thanks much.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And just for those who are following along, am I correct in thinking that members of the public can view the ClearGov version of the budget on the city website as we go through the process?
Yep, the budget is going live by tomorrow morning. It'll be live for everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. See you tomorrow night.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So I'll refer Order 161, that is the Mayor's proposed FY25 budget, which he just presented here to us, to the Subcommittee on Finance and Property, to begin those meetings tomorrow evening. And just as a note for those who are interested in following along, those meetings will begin at 6:30 p.m. Is that correct, Mr. Chair? Thank you. We do have time before our posted public hearing for 8 p.m. to begin taking some of our resident speakers who have signed up to speak. So we will go in the order that folks are signed up. As a reminder for those following along, these spots are available at every one of our regular council meetings and can be signed up for by contacting the city clerk's office no later than 9:30 the morning of the meeting. And the clerk works on one agenda forward at a time. And so if you should contact the clerk and the spots are full, she'll let you know when the next agenda will be worked on that you can contact her for those spots. They are first come, first serve. They are not a question and answer, so you won't hear counselors engaged in back and forth conversation with speakers. But as I always say, we are listening. It's an important part of the meeting, and it does help us to understand what's happening for folks in the community. So I will apologize as well if I mispronounce any of your names as I call you forward. I'll invite you to come to the podium where you saw us present to the Eagle Scouts earlier. Begin with your name and address for the record, and then Vice President Crowley will be our timekeeper. He will keep up to 5 minutes. If you hear the timer go off and you're still speaking, if you would draw your remarks to a close at that time so that we can be fair and equitable to everyone. So we'll begin with Sandra Theodoro. And again, apologies for any mispronounced names. If you'd begin with your name and address for the record.
That was perfect. Sandra Theodoro, I'm at 8 Woodbury Drive. We're here again weeks after council chose to file and not even discuss a ceasefire resolution. This may be getting old, it may be getting annoying, but the trauma, loss, and horror are persistent. We're still paying for it, we're still complicit. Something that happened recently on May 26, an attack on Rafah camp for displaced people killed 45 people, wounding 200 using US-made bombs. Netanyahu called it a tragic mistake, another tragic mistake. I want to tell you where I come from as it relates to my passion for justice and human rights. In the context of civil war in Greece, my grandfather was taken from his tiny village, crushed under piles of heavy stone, and left for dead. Here's what he said about the war. O kaimenos Bodosakis, sarcastically meaning poor Bodosaki, that's the weapons manufacturer. He recognized that people suffer and even fight the wars, but the only winner is Bodosakis. Meanwhile, my grandmother found herself fleeing execution after being blacklisted for supposedly aiding the wrong side. Dramatic as her stories of escape were, perhaps the most terrifying scene was when her cousin betrayed her, revealing her escape route. Telling the story, my grandmother offhandedly said, "Ach, tina anthropy, what are humans?" And I think that's the spot that we're in, the same as this cousin. It's not morality or facts or procedural rules that dictate what we do. It's Bodosaki. It's the narrative, the system. Years from now, it'll become popular. Everyone will probably agree with justice for Palestine, as we do now with historic battles around racism and genocide, because it'll become easier. I hope we don't wait till it becomes easier, because there will be a lot of suffering between now and then. I want to pull the lens back on what's happening in Israel and Palestine. The latest horrors are part of a continuous history of deliberate dehumanization, as well as deliberate violation of humanitarian and international agreements, humanitarian law and international agreements, with impunity in order to create facts on the ground, which obliviates the possibility of coexistence. These are actually the obstacles to peace. In the early 20th century, Herzl sought an outpost of civilization. Winston Churchill, when questioned during the Peel Commission hearings about the brutality with which Arabs would be treated, stated, "I do not admit that the dog in the manger has the final right to the manger, even though he may have lain there for a very long time." He went on to compare Palestine to other genocides. He denied that a great wrong has been done to the indigenous of America or Australia by the replacement by a higher grade race. Moving forward in history, showing discrimination, dehumanization, and impunity, some quotes. Israeli Minister of Jerusalem Affairs, "We must find ways for Gazans that are more painful than death." Former Major General of the IDF, "There is apartheid in Judea and Samaria. The IDF has started being complicit in war crimes. They stand on the sidelines and watch the hilltop youth terrorize Palestinians and do nothing." Israeli member of Knesset, "Israeli soldiers did what was necessary when Israeli snipers killed 223 Gazans during the 2018 Great March of Return peaceful protests." He said, "I think all our soldiers deserve a medal. As for the commission of inquiry, there won't be one." Benjamin Netanyahu, "This is a battle not of Israel against these barbarians, it's a battle of civilization against barbarism." Racism, discrimination, disregard for international humanitarian law, and deliberate erasure of Palestinians is manifest in an apartheid system that has been condemned by innumerable international and humanitarian agencies. I don't have time to go into all the humiliation, injustices, and restrictions of apartheid, maybe just a little bit. Water restrictions, food restrictions, restrictions of movement, needing permit for every single thing in life, detention, middle of the night home raids, deportation, house demolition, goes on, the apartheid regime, discrimination. But I do want to say this one last quote. "All of our this is by a retired general of the IDF, all of our missiles, the ammunition, the precision-guided bombs, all the airplanes and bombs, it's all from the U.S. The minute they turn off the tap, you can't keep fighting. We are the U.S. Let's say no to apartheid, no to occupation, no to Bodosaki. Yes to the possibility of peace and coexistence." Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Theodoro. Our next speaker who's signed up is Matvey Mozhayev. And again, apologies for any mispronunciations. I would invite you to start with your name and address for the record as well. And then you also have up to 5 minutes on the timer to address the council.
Okay. All good? All good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Matvey Mozhayev, and I live over at 376 Hale Street, Beverly. And I think I want to follow Sandra's words a little bit and speak to my experience as a Russian immigrant, because I think one of the things we all know about this genocide, right, is there is nothing new about it, right? Things like this have been happening, funded by this very country, by that flag over there, right, for decades. This is just as horrific as it is, right? This is not the first time this is happening, but this is the first time things like that are inescapable, right? Like, I go to bed and I think about all those people I heard screaming on social media, right? We show up here every time we can to talk about this because it feels crazy to be normal, right? To act normal, to keep talking about budgets. I'm not saying that budgets are unimportant, but if that's all we talk about and we do not make room for this, then I feel like I'm going crazy, right? Because then when I go, my dad just flew to Russia not too long ago, and it's so amazing there. Like, the pavement has never been better. Like, the city council has certainly done their job. The schools are getting incredible funding, right? But then nobody looks at the fact that one out of every 100 men has died, right? And the very people who are applauding the amazing work that the city is doing, the glamour, the beauty of it, are also the same people who are getting their children shipped in pieces, right? Of my age, my classmates. I've lost some friends, right? All of those people. And they're continuing to praise the city council, and they're taking their dead children in the aluminum coffins, right? They're willing to trade that because they've been trading that comfort for decades. And I'm lucky to be here. I'm so lucky my parents recognized that nobody was willing to do the fight, right? Nobody was there. That there were people protesting, there were people willing to do the right thing, but not enough. And we had to leave because not enough people were standing up and acknowledging that we cannot do normal, that we cannot only talk about budgets, that we cannot only talk about the amazing things, the really amazing things. And I'm not trying to diminish or value. All of these things are really important. But if we only talk about them, this is exactly where we're going to end up, right? And it's just so horrifying to me because every day we put this off, right, is another day we're getting closer to fascists knocking on my door. Because if I were to visit Russia right now, I'd be arrested and legally tortured immediately. There would be no way of not that happening, right? I need to sneak into the country. And what's happening here, what I see every day with no discourse happening in this, right? Not enough, is the same thought of, I'm glad my parents can get away, and they are, because we're recognizing that this is the exact same situation we were in a decade ago. And with all of that, right, I think it's important to recognize that the two are incompatible, right? That the very thing that our comfort comes from, right? The mayor has talked so much about how well our budget is doing, that we're so well prepared for everything that's come forward, right? And the reason that we're living in such comfort here in Beverly is because we're not talking about this genocide, is because we have all of this power as one of the richest states, one of the richest cities in the United States, right, to do all of this difference. But if we were to do that, our budget probably would not look so good, right? I have no doubt, actually, that if we were to actually stop the genocide and stop the shipment of our bombs, of our tax dollars to this genocide, all of this would fall apart. But it will, one day or another, okay? And I personally do not want to see my kids shipped to me in a coffin. I do not want that to be the day when I recognize that something is wrong and that I should do something about it and that I cannot only talk about budgets. Because at that point, it'll be far too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mosayev. And our third speaker is Hannah Sukroff. And if you also would begin with your name and address for the record, and then, as with the other speakers, Vice President Crowley will keep the 5 minutes, and if you hear the timer, if you would draw your remarks to a close.
Yes, I'm Hannah Sukroff, 245 Cabot Street, apartment 417, just down the street. And Julie, I know you've seen the pictures that I have provided as proof. Of course, with the 5 minutes, I don't have time to show you the other people. To my esteemed town council, my name is Hannah Sukroff. I was born and have been raised in Beverly my whole life. Beverly has been the only hometown that I've ever known. For a while, I've had a problem with the Parking Council because they've been giving out tickets prejudicially. An example is that I've received tickets even when I've been in spots that are designated as in the red zone, for which I have a downtown Beverly parking permit. Another example is when I parked on the left facing the other way and received a ticket. And I do admit that I was not aware of this law at that time, and I have never done it again. But 30 minutes after I gotten that ticket, a private truck parked in the exact same spot, also facing the other way, and never received a ticket. In the past, I received parking tickets for Hale Street and the parking lot off of Hale Street that I was allowed to park at for no charge for over a year when I started living at the Cabot Y in 2022. Suddenly, tickets were being handed out like candy. Barely anyone in the YMCA building where I live have enough parking next to the building. Spaces are becoming harder to find, and many residents are considered elderly, handicapped, or have some sort of disability. This is causing hardships for many like myself because I have a very low income and I cannot afford to pay for parking that should be available to me. This also causes a physical issue. I have rheumatoid arthritis and sometimes I can't walk very far without a lot of pain. If I need to park across the way or down the streets in the red zone, I'm afraid that will be too difficult to get back to my apartment, especially in inclement weather like a snowstorm. Back in March, I had parked on Bow Street. I saw the parking sign with a double arrow showing that I should be able to park on the left and the right of the sign, the arrows pointing left and right. I ended up being in an area where I was ticketed without realizing it. And I see signs on other streets, such as Elliott Street, that say no parking from here onward. But as I had said, I have photogenic proof that the sign on Bow Street had the double arrow showing to park to the left and the right of it. And there was a driveway next to this sign, and I parked just beyond the driveway. I feel that I should not have received a ticket at all. I tried to explain my confusion, as in driving school, you learn to read the signs, but I could not get a word in, and it seems like they were offended by me asking about it. This sign made it very confusing, and even though afterwards I found out it was a green zone, I believe this sign should be changed so someone else doesn't have the same problem. On February 29th, 2024, I received a courtesy reminder in my email to renew my parking permit. I renewed my parking permit online on that day. I wanted to make sure I renewed it in plenty of time and did not forget. Online, the Beverly parking website showed that my parking permit was renewed from February 29th, 2024 to March 31st, 25. But when the actual renewal time came and went on April 1st, 2024, my parking pass was revoked. I had received 2 parking tickets since because it shows that my parking pass is valid on the website, but behind the scenes, I didn't have a valid parking pass. Just last week when I wrote this, I was able to rectify the situation at City Hall Parking Enforcement, but this shows that the system is flawed. How many other citizens of Beverly have had to endure parking tickets when they made a good faith effort to renew their permits before the April 1st start date? I'm nervous because even though I got the permit rectified the other day, I feel like I can't park in the places that I have the right to because of this flaw. And going through this over and over again. Why am I allowed to renew the parking permit online when the woman with the red hair over at the parking enforcement office said I should not have been allowed to renew it at that time? When I went to rectify the parking permit last week, which is when I wrote this, I asked why I was allowed to renew the permit at this time, and the woman with the red hair could not answer that question. I still don't have the answer on why. The other ladies in the parking permit office were joking with me and said, darned if you do and darned if you don't. I'm glad they're a bit more understanding and they helped to relieve some of my anxiety that I naturally have. When I went to try and appeal this ticket on Monday, March 25th, 2024, I feel that they were verbally abusive. The officer, Dana Nicholson, who's taking my appeal, told me, you better not come here with another appeal because I'm just going to throw it away. And he said it in a tone. The parking clerk manager and another person were also there to witness Officer Nicholson making what I feel is threatening, bullying, and harassing comments. As I was trying to explain about the situation, but Officer Nicholson and the parking clerk would not allow me to get any words in. My great-uncle, Joe D'Angelo, was a very well-respected Beverly officer for many years. I feel that Officer Nicholson does not live up to the esteem that my great-uncle Joe warranted. I did put in a complaint about Officer Nicholson on the Beverly Police website, and that's last month. I would like to ask the town council to please consider working on making parking more accessible for residents at the YMCA. I would like to please ask for parking in general to be looked at so residents can have better access to available places to park their car throughout downtown Beverly. I would like to ask that the Beverly parking website work better so the residents' permits do not get revoked, even though it shows it valid. I thank you for your time and for listening to what I have to say. I hope my speaking out will improve the lives of not only myself, but many other residents in Beverly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sucroft. And before you leave tonight, if you want to give your pictures to the city clerk, to be shared with the rest of the council, you can do that as well. This brings us to 8:00 p.m., and so we will need to open our 8 o'clock posted hearing, and we will do that now. This is on Order 151. Ms. Kent.
Order number 151, the City of Beverly ordered that the City Council of the City of Beverly hold a public hearing on Monday, June 3rd, 2024 at 8 p.m. at 191 Cabot Street, 3rd floor, Council Chambers, relative to a request to realign funding within the operating budget to account for some unplanned operational costs through June 30th and facilitate the purchase of 2 public safety vehicles to ease some budgetary burden for the upcoming fiscal year 25 budget. This was in the newspaper on May 24th.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. For anyone who may be here to speak in the public hearing on Order 151, on the order that Ms. Kent just read concerning request to realign funding, the sign-up sheet is on the table by the window at this entrance of the chamber, and you can add your name. We will take speakers in the order they're signed up for this particular public hearing. Mr. Ailes, I see you're at the podium and ready to go, so we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Good to see you. I just want to, in general, describe what we're doing here. As we approach the end of the fiscal year, it's necessary in most years to realign certain spending categories. Throughout the year, there are expenditures that occur in which we, at the end of the year, need to transfer funds in to avoid any deficit balances. In this case, we're doing a little bit of that. And in addition to that, we're reallocating some unneeded resources, financial resources, to purchase 2 vehicles, public safety in nature, one in the police department, one in the fire department, in an effort to help avoid those costs in FY25 for needed vehicles. The total value of the transfer is $358,122, and I do have one technical correction to the order that you have before you. On the accompanying line item detail, under the sources section, the 3rd line down, which is titled shuttle bus, this is money being transferred out from the shuttle bus line. The actual numbers should read 11752-53828. rather than 53034. Should be 53828. That's the line the funding would be coming from, and it is the shuttle bus line. But I'm happy to answer any questions about any of the needs or any of the available funds if you have any.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ailes. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Rotundo.
Mr. Ailes, I just one question, which is the largest one, is the concurrent incentive police. Why was it so under budgeted? That am I assuming, is it, for easy name, is it the Quinn bill that's being budgeted or being requested?
Yeah, so when you look at your budget, you can look at the FY25 or any year for that matter. A significant portion within the salary component of the police budget has to do with career incentive pay. It's tied to an officer's core pay, and it is a percentage of that core pay depending upon the level of academic attainment that officer may have related to their core function as a police officer. It is the old Quinn bill. It's no longer called the Quinn bill. And in this case, in FY24, it was, if you look at the FY23 to FY24 budget, there was a slight oversight where it wasn't increased during the FY24 budget requests. And so we recognized that about mid-year when our budget targets and our budget projections were off. We said, what's going on here? And then we realized we hadn't requested enough funding. And the plan at that time was, okay, we'll wait till we do the end of the year transfers and money becomes available, and we'll fund it at that point.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam President. I think you just answered the question, Mr. Ailes, but to confirm, I noticed a pretty sizable increase in the FY25 budget. That's just because it wasn't in the '24 budget, and you need to make up for it going into this one.
Correct.
But it's not some unforeseen provision that's being given out.
Right. It was an oversight in '04, and to do kind of the proper analysis, and we can talk about this when we talk about FY25, but you would want to add this amount into the FY24 level and then do the percentage increase. And so you'll notice at that point that it's much more in line with what you would expect to see.
Okay.
When you look at 24 to 25.
That makes sense to me. And on the flip side of the proposed transfer with the sources, I noticed about $120-ish thousand worth of funding transferred from two line items related to dispatch. And I
Yes.
know that the city had been going through a transition to the civilian dispatch, and that obviously changes both operations and then how we finance operations. Would you mind elaborating if the surplus in this account is related to that in any way? And if so, what specifically is the reason for this surplus?
Yeah, so when we built the FY24 budget, we broke the funding for a fully staffed civilian dispatch function into two areas, partly in the fire department budget and partly in a newly created civilian dispatch unit budget. The fire department budget continued to incur expenses because they continue to operate 5 dispatchers at the central fire station throughout the year. The civilian dispatch unit had a full-time supervisor on for the full year, so they did incur expenditures. And towards the latter part of this fiscal year is when all the protocols, all the procedures, and the hiring began taking place to staff the remaining 5 full-time positions that will complement the fully operational civilian dispatch center. So as I stand here now, we have all 10 dispatchers as well as the supervisor on board. So we are fully staffed.
Okay, and so.
But because there was a delay in the full, bringing them on board, this money is available.
Okay, and then obviously in FY25, the new civilian dispatch will be up and running, and that won't be an area where we're expected to have a big surplus like there is now.
Correct. And you'll see costs hit that in the FY25 budget, and you'll also notice a slight reduction in the fire department budget because those 5 dispatchers that were historically budgeted within fire will now shift over into the civilian dispatch budget.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ailes. And the last question that I have is related to police as well. I noticed the police vehicles is listed generally, and Chief, maybe you can address this. Are these any specific vehicles in particular, or are they just cruisers?
Thank you, Chief LeLasher.
Good evening, thank you. So yes, it's a regular Dodge Durango.
Okay.
So if you remember in the 24th, we usually purchase 3 vehicles a year is the rotation in our fleet. Last year, we only budgeted for 2. We also had one that was totaled in an accident. So this is to replace one of those vehicles because we know the 25 fiscal budget, we're anticipating 0 vehicles. So I'm sorry, 1. That's been changed to 1. So that's going to help us catch up to where the fleet is. This reduces maintenance costs. So our maintenance costs are actually getting very high. A perfect example as tonight, I was in the parking lot here ready to come in when 2 officers, detectives made a substantial drug arrest on Broadway. And one of the cruisers trying to go there overheated and died while trying to back up those officers because of the mileage in those cars. So we were able to get other cruisers over there to help with the arrests with myself. But these are things that happen. These cars run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we have to maintain a newer fleet.
I understand. Thank you, Chief. That's it for me, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Counselor Bowen.
Thank you. That's covered a lot of my questions, but I did have one question on that shuttle bus line in the sources, and less about sort of the appropriateness of transferring it over, but more just programmatically how things are going with the shuttle bus this year, that there is that surplus, given how in demand last mile transport options are that we just expanded the Salem skipper. So if there's like a programmatic reason for that
Yeah.
being there.
That's a great question. This is an area that is currently under review. There's multiple pieces to this, and you mentioned the skipper, and that's playing a big part in kind of our need to reevaluate kind of what we're doing. And we're gathering a lot of good data from that program that's going to help inform what is going to be the best solution for these types of services going forward. We've got the skipper. We've tried the last mile shuttle in the past, and we've got some data from that. We've got some data from the CADA program, which is the shuttle bus. And in addition to that, I feel like there was another piece. In the COA, we're fully staffed up there over the Council on Aging. And so we're working with that department as well to try to evaluate all the needs and take a much more thorough look about what might be an appropriate, comprehensive plan moving forward. But these funds are available because the original budget was for $219,000. And so this will bring it down to $199,000. And even after this transfer, we'll still probably turn back about $12,000 to $15,000 of that money.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other Counselor Spang?
Just one follow-up question on that. When you mentioned turning it back, you mean that anything that's unspent in the fiscal year 24 budget just kind of goes away? It's not like that would carry over to the next year as a balance?
Yeah, it doesn't carry over as a balance unless it's set aside for services that have been rendered this year that we need to pay a bill later. So barring that, when I say it gets turned back, it reverts back to the general fund and gets certified as free cash. It's part of that turn back that the mayor mentioned in his remarks about balancing the replenishment of the free cash value.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions or comments from members of the council? Are there any members of the public who are here to speak in this public hearing? This is on Order 151, the request to realign operating budget. Seeing none, I'll invite our budget analyst, Mr. Jerry Perry, to offer any thoughts that you may have.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the council. I'll be brief. I sent you a memo last week regarding this matter. I do recommend adoption of the proposal of the mayor. This is an annual event, not only here, but every city and town in the Commonwealth does this stuff too. So it's very routine stuff. If we were not to do this, and it is along the lines of Councilor Spang's questions and what the finance director talked about, what would happen is we would be punished. If we carry deficits at the end of the fiscal years, it reduces our free cash. So it's important that you understand this is good financial practice. This is normal stuff. I did review each and every part of the sources of funds. There are sufficient funds in there. There will be some money left over in some of them. Some of them actually we zero out, but the bottom line to it is there are sufficient funds, and I do recommend adoption of the proposal. More than happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Councilors, are there any questions for Mr. Perry while he's at the podium? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Perry. With that, I will close this public hearing on Order 151, refer that back to the Committee on Finance and Property for further action this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Ailes, Chief Lasher, for answering some of our questions as well. Let's go to acceptance of minutes of previous meetings. We have two sets of meeting minutes that we can approve this evening. One is for the joint meeting with the City Council and School Committee from March 4th, 2024. The other are minutes from our special City Council meeting, April 8th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve these two sets of minutes? All those in favor? Thank you. That carries 8-0, and thank you to our Assistant Clerk, Christine Dixon, for those minutes as always and for your work. Ms. Kent, let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
Order number 164, dear Honorable City Council, I respectfully request a transfer of $1 million from the city's certified free cash balance to be placed into the city's debt stabilization fund. The debt stabilization fund is a financial management tool that can provide funds to smooth out foreseeable spikes in debt costs related to capital projects or help to prevent an erosion of the city's capability to provide capital improvements due to short-term budgetary pressures. We feel this is an important and responsible safeguard to undertake at this point, given the many capital needs that the city faces in future years. We look forward to discussing this at your upcoming public hearing. Please initiate action. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property, and we'll set that public hearing.
Order number 165, Dear Honorable City Council, I respectfully request a transfer of $2 million from the city's certified free cash balance to be placed into the city's road and sidewalk capital fund to support paving work for fiscal year 2025. As you are likely aware, the fiscal year 2025 budget I am proposing on June 3rd, along with this communication, seeks to allocate $1.25 million of the general fund operating budget to the road and sidewalks fund in FY 2025. This requested transfer would provide additional resources, bringing the total contribution to $3.25 million for the upcoming fiscal year work. We look forward to discussing this at your upcoming public hearing. Please initiate action at your meeting. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property to set a public hearing as well.
Order number 166, Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $71,091 grant from the Municipal Broadband Institution. Municipal Digital Equity Planning Program funding will be used to facilitate a digital equity charrette process and produce a digital equity report on behalf of the City of Beverly. Partnering with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, we will develop digital equity insights and recommendations, ultimately producing an action-oriented report designed to lead to direct improvements in Beverly residents' lives by supporting project and program interventions as well as policy change. Strategies will be identified for the Beverly community to prioritize removing obstacles for those who have historically been most impacted by the digital divide. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 167, Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has received a folding electronic mahjong table valued at $2,000 for the Council on Aging. This gift is intended to benefit the senior center and is particularly helpful for people with arthritis and low vision. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grants, earmarks, donations, or gifts to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 168, Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has received a $36,907.30 donation from the Sharon Lee Delaney Living Trust. This unrestricted donation is to benefit the Beverly Council on Aging. It is the second distribution from this trust. We are grateful to Ms. Delaney and her family for this generous donation that will support our senior citizen residents. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this donation. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 169, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Ms. Nancy Marino, 9 Wellman Street, Beverly, to serve on the Beverly Housing Authority. Her term is to be effective June 28, 2024 until June 28, 2029. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 170. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, the following residents to serve on the Beverly Council on Aging: Barron's Whitfield, Blair Smith, and Richard Tabbitt. Their terms are to be effective from July 1st, 2024 until June 30th, 2027. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 171, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Ms. Amber Redmond, 55 Parramatta Road, Beverly, to serve on the Conservation Commission. Her term is to be effective June 30th, 2024 until June 30th, 2027. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 172, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. Hugh Howard, 26 Sherman Street, Beverly, to serve on the Waste Reduction Committee. His term is to be effective until March 31st, 2027. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 173, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to review and recommendation, Ms. Sarah Cullinan, 154 Essex Street, Beverly, to serve on the Clean Energy Advisory Committee. Her term is to be effective until January 31st, 2027. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 174, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to review and recommendation, Mr. William Beckman, 5 Penny Lane, Beverly, to serve on the Beverly Licensing Board. His term is to be effective until June 1st, 2030. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Let's go to communications from other city officers and boards, please, Ms. Kent.
Order number 175 from Harbor Master Peter Dickman, proposed amendments for the City of Beverly ordinances, Chapter 124, boating and waterways.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 176, the Community and Preservation Committee, CPC, 11th round CPA project funding recommendations.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property to set a public hearing.
Order number 177 from Councilor Sweeney and Bowen, a letter regarding second water meters.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property. Let's go to communications, applications, and petitions, please.
Order number 178, notice of availability for 150 Sawyer Road, summary of April 3rd, 2024 public meeting.
Councilors, I would entertain a motion to receive that and place it on file. All those in favor? That carries 8-0. Thank you.
Order number 179 from National Grid, Plan 307-87704, Cabot Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services to set a public hearing.
Order number 180 from Estelle Rand, Director, Local Food Collaborative, DBA Beverly Farmers Market, permission to add a wine vendors to the Beverly Farmers Market 2024.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Let's go to motions and orders before we break for committee. We have Order 46 that's available for final passage this evening. This is an order proposing amendments to the city ordinances. Council worked through this in legal affairs last term, and then it's been before the full council for a final vote. I know at our last meeting, thank you very much to Vice President Crowley for running that last meeting. We had Solicitor Williams here to work through that with the council, and so this is available for final passage this evening. Is there a motion to approve Order 46? As amended. As amended, yes, thank you. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. That carries 8-0. Thank you, Councilor Spang, for that important addition. And thank you to Solicitor Williams and the Solicitor's Office for your work and assistance on that. We have both assistant solicitors are here. Bethel Mix and Jesse Dole, thank you for being here with us this evening. I would entertain a motion to take a brief break for some committee work. All those in favor? That carries 8-0. So we'll do a brief break, about 15 minutes. Any work that can't be done in that time, we'll schedule standing subcommittee meetings for that. We'll have Finance and Property stay here in chambers, Legal Affairs in the committee room, Public Services in the hallway. Thank you.
Call to order the Committee on Finance and Property. So we've got about 15 minutes. We've got a lot on our agenda, see what we can get through. I guess first off, I'll take up Order 164. This was a free cash transfer of $1 million for the debt stabilization fund that we got tonight. Entertain a motion to set a public hearing on June 17th at 7:50 p.m.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. That public hearing is set. Approved 3-0. Okay, order number 165. This also came to us tonight. Free cash transfer of $2 million for road and sidewalk paving. I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing on June 17th at 7:40 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That is approved 3-0. Thank you. So also tonight, we got order 166. This is a grant for $71,000 for digital equity charrette process. Counselors, any questions for Mr. Ailes, comments, discussion? I would entertain a motion that we approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That is approved 3-0. We also received tonight Order 167. This was a gift of a folding electric mahong table valued at $2,000 for the Council on Aging. Despite not knowing what that is, I would entertain a motion that we accept the gift and approve.
So moved.
Second, and I think
Question?
it's a game you play with tiles.
Yeah.
I've never played, but it sounds fun.
I did a quick Google. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved 3-0. Thank you. And I would also entertain a motion to approve Order 168. This is also a donation for the Council on Aging of $36,000 from Sharon Lee Delaney Living Trust. I would entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much for that gift. That is approved 3-0. Couple others here. Order 151, this is the public hearing from tonight, a request to realign funding within the operating budget of $358,000. I would entertain a motion that we approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, further discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that is approved 3-0. I'd like to move to a couple of our older items. We have Order 77. This was an earmark of $200,000 related to the Beverly Public Library from the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. Been talking with Mr. Ailes and Mr. Perry about this, and I would entertain a motion that we approve Order 77.
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions?
Just one question, and this may relate to a handful of these orders if we're looking to vote on them, but is there a plan at this time, if the earmark funding is approved or the stabilization transfer? I know there have been discussions about approving some, disapproving others, but if some portion of this funding is approved, what's the plan for what the next steps would be in regards to putting this to use on the library?
No, as you folks know, I've had an individual conversation with you.
Oh.
Do you mind going to the podium, Mr. Mayor? Thank you.
So, the necessary any direction at present on an HVAC project. We're looking to move ahead with the new roof and insulation work.
Okay.
And you're right, it's the three earmarks that are pending.
Mm-hmm.
The folks that have it had in the committee for a bit, that we're
Okay.
looking to try to get access to and move forward.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thanks.
Any other further questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Approved 3-0. I'm going to go back to Order 176. This came to us as well to set a public hearing. This is the Community Preservation Commission's 11th round CPA project funding recommendations. I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing on June 17th at 8:10 p.m. on that one.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. That is approved 3-0. Okay, so then we're gonna jump back to order 78. This was another earmark, $100,000, similar to the previous one, for the Beverly Public Library, from the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approved 3-0. Order number 79, which is the third earmark. This is from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development of $1 million. I would entertain a motion that we approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved 3-0. So order number 92 is also related to the library. This is a $1 million transfer from the city's debt stabilization fund. I would entertain a motion that we indefinitely postpone this order, number 92. Mr. Ailes?
If I could just make a comment, if you're so inclined, we'd recommend that you disapprove it.
Okay.
Or, if you,
Yeah, and I guess
And get
Mr.
it off the
Perry
books
gave me
and-
that language, and I would just
Okay.
defer to you.
If I may quickly, it's not something we do very often here, but you'll see it. I think maybe Boxford may see the way they do these things, but disapproving it is known as indefinite postponement. So, so if you vote, the motion would be to move to indefinitely postpone the request of the mayor, and if you approve it, that means you're defeating the motion. So, and if I could just rise on that very quickly, just so you know, on the, this and the other one, we're going to be leaving the money in the stabilization fund. The mayor is also requesting to put more of it. We'll be talking about that during the budgetary process. I think we may need to tap into this for the city hall, but we'll see, or some other things. So certainly I recommend as your budget analyst to do this, to definitely postpone this, and then on the next one, so I don't have to rise up here again, on the $2 million to definitely postpone that, because in order to, the mayor is requesting to transfer free cash for roads and sidewalks in a couple of weeks, which you just said a public hearing. We can't do both. So you want to definitely postpone that so we're able to do the roads and sidewalk project in a couple of weeks. So I recommend indefinite postponement on this and the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, both Mr. Ailes and Mr. Perry. Counselors, I would entertain a motion to indefinitely postpone and disapprove.
So moved.
Second.
Cover our
Those in
bases there.
favor? Aye. Okay, hopefully that works. Similarly, Order 94, this was a transfer of more than $2 million from free cash that would have gone to the Library Improvement Capital Fund. I would entertain a motion to indefinitely postpone and disapprove that order as well.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. It's approved. 3-0. Okay, so that was pretty good work. I think that was everything I wanted to cover tonight. Anything else? I think that's within our allotted 15 minutes.
That was
So that
impressive
works.
work,
And
Mr.
we'll
Chair.
have,
Yep. Mr. Chairman, just if I may quickly, I filed order number 177.
yes, thank you, Counselor.
My recommendation would be that we hold off on discussing this until the fall, when we make it through the discussion of the FY25 budget that's going to consume most of this month.
I would concur. Thank you for
Just wanted to
sharing
make that clear in case
Given the
anybody's
budget, in reading Order 177, I didn't get a sense of urgency in getting that through the budget, but we'll certainly take that up at a later date. Okay, with that, I think that concludes our business on finance and property, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
One.
Kim, are you ready?
I am here.
Thank you, everyone. Call the full council back to order. Thank you, subcommittees, for that work. And we'll go to reports from committees. Ms. Kent.
Order number 77, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $200 earmark from the Massachusetts Marketing Partnership within the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 78, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $100 earmark from the Mass Marketing Partnership within the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development to be used for HVAC improvements and weatherization for the Beverly Public Library, had considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Carries 8-0.
Order number 79, the Committee on Finance and Property, whom referred the matter regarding a $1 million earmark from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development to support the main library HVAC system replacement and weatherization, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Councilor Bowen.
Thank you. My only question is a logistical one, if the funds will now go into the library project capital fund directly, or will just remain in?
Mr. Ailes, would you be able to answer that question for us?
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah, we'll put it in the same fund, but it needs to be accounted for separately, obviously. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ailes. Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Carries 8-0.
Order number 92, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a transfer of $1,902,089 from the city's debt stabilization fund to be placed into the city's library improvement capital fund, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Indefinite, postpone, disapprove.
Questions or comments? Mr. Perry, I know you had a chance to answer a question for the subcommittee about that language. Do you want to just help the rest of the council?
Yeah, we were talking about that. The motion to indefinitely postpone is a traditional motion made at an appropriating body. That means you want to defeat it. You have not really heard that too much here because almost everything that comes before you, we figure out how to approve it. So we're doing things a little differently. But indefinitely postponement is the way you defeat a motion that's before you, which is to do the transfer. And so if you want to add the word disapprove, I'm fine with it too. But the bottom line to it is you're getting rid of it. And if I may, Madam President, with your permission, the purpose is twofold. We're trying to continue keeping the stabilization fund intact because we're getting ready to tackle the whole City Hall project, as you all know, in the fall. And if you indefinitely postpone the transfer that was used for free cash, it's the intention of the administration, which you already know because you have it before you, to use that free cash for transfer to do roads and sidewalks when you have a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight. So I recommend indefinite postponement in both of them.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Questions or comments from the council? So all those in favor of indefinitely postponing and disapproving order number 92 as recommended by the Subcommittee on Finance and Property? It's 8-0 in favor of indefinite postponement, thereby defeating it. Thank you.
Order number 94, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a transfer of $2,045,000 from the city's certified free cash balance to be placed into the city's library improvement capital fund, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Indefinite postpone.
Questions or comments? So all those in favor of indefinitely postponing and disapproving order number 94 is recommended by the Subcommittee on Finance and Property. All those in favor? Thank you. It's 8-0 in favor of indefinitely postponing and disapproving order number 94.
Order number 151, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a request to realign funding within the operating budget to account for some unplanned operational costs through June 30th and facilitate the purchase of 2 public safety vehicles. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Thank you. Carries 8-0.
Order number 164, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a transfer request for $1 million from the city's certified free cash balance to be placed into the city's debt stabilization fund. Have considered said matter and set a public hearing for June 17th at 7:50.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee, June 17th at 7:50 PM. All those in favor? Carries 8-0, so we'll have that public hearing set for our next regular meeting, June 17th, 7:50 PM.
Order number 165, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a transfer request for $2 million from the city's certified free cash balance to be placed into the city's road and sidewalk capital fund. Have considered said matter and set a public hearing for June 17th at 7:40.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee, June 17th, 7:40 PM. All those in favor? That carries 8-0, so we'll have that public hearing happening at our next regular meeting, June 17th, 7:40 PM.
Order number 166, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a grant for $71,091 from Municipal Broadband Institute Municipal Digital Equity Planning Program. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Councilor Tender, did I see your hand? Okay. Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor? Carries 8-0.
Order 167, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a gift of a folding electronic
Mahjong.
table valued at $2,000 for the Council on Aging. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. Questions or comments besides how do you play Mahjong, which seems to be a common question among us. I'm sure we can go and we'll be able to learn. Any other questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor? Carries 8-0 with our thanks for that gift for use of those at the Council on Aging. That'd be a great opportunity, especially I noticed it mentions for those with arthritis or with difficulty being able to see the tiles, the traditional tiles, so that's great. So thank you.
Order number 168, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a donation of $36,907.30 from Sharon Lee Delaney Living Trust to benefit the Council on Aging. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 8-0, and our thanks also to Ms. Delaney and that trust fund as well for that gift.
Order number 176, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a CPC 11th round CPA project fund recommendation, have set a public hearing on June 17th at 8:10 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee, June 17th, 8:10 PM. All those in favor? That carries 8-0, and so we'll have that public hearing at our next regular meeting, June 17th at 8:10 PM.
Order number 152, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding 2 appointments and waiver of residency for Christopher Tatnall and Gerald Blummerstock to serve on the Economic Community Development Council. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. I don't know which one they approved.
Councilor Feldman, are you jumping in here? Thank you.
This was an appointment and waiver. Blumenstock, who are both employees of the same company, and it was intended originally so one could go or the other, but that is not how this can be voted upon. So we are amending this appointment to only approve Christopher Tatnall's both appointment and waiver of residency. Nope.
Ms. Oldmixon, do you want to?
I'm sorry. Wait, maybe Counselor Rotundo, did you have more information on which person was is the one who we're appointing? Okay, so, right, reverse it, sorry.
That was it.
I had crossed out the wrong person. so-
Okay.
Okay, so I take that back. We are approving Gerald Blumenstock for both the appointment and the waiver of residency and leaving the Christopher Tatnall off this appointment.
Okay. Thank you. So Gerald Blumenstock is the approving.
Is the person that we
Okay.
are appointing. Apologies, I
That's
crossed
okay.
off the wrong names.
That is
What
okay.
happens when Scott goes away and I'm.
You're doing great. So we'll take this as 2 votes because we do need to vote the appointment and the waiver of residency as 2 separate votes. Thank you, Councilor Feldman. So we'll begin by a motion to approve as recommended by the subcommittee, the waiver of residency, which would then allow us to appoint him. So we'll begin by motion to approve the waiver of residency for Gerald Blumenstock. All those in favor? Having approved that waiver of residency, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Gerald Blumenstock. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Feldman, for working that through with us. Thanks to the subcommittee for your work on that as well.
Order number 175, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a proposed amendment to the City of Beverly ordinances, Chapter 124, Boating and Waterways, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Submit the accompanying amended ordinance and recommend its adoption pending publication and final passage.
Thank you. So 175 will appear on our upcoming agendas so that we can work on approval for that and discussion.
Order number 179, sorry. The Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding National Grid, 307-87704 Cabot Street, have considered said matter and set a public hearing for June 17th at 7:30 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee for June 17th, 7:30 PM. Councilor Bone, do you have a question? You're just ready to, I understand. All those in favor, in addition to Councilor Bowen. Carries 8-0, so we will have that public hearing at our next regular meeting, June 17th, 7:30 PM.
Order number 105, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding number 306-65817 to install one JO pole on Lothrop Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the petition be granted with a communication note.
Thank you. Councilor Bowen. Councilor Bowen, please.
Thank you. Just that we received additional information. This is the one that had been held for a while we were getting questions answered by National Grid. So in addition to recommending that we approve the petition, we also recommend communicating to National Grid that it was important to us that they had said the pole would be installed without disrupting sight lines to drivers at that intersection.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the Committee on Public Services. Are there other questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order, including that note that we will communicate as a council on the importance of that to National Grid. All those in favor? That carries 8-0. Thank you. Oh, all right. Thank you very much. Just a few reminders, and then I'll see if councilors have reminders or announcements. But as we mentioned several times throughout the evening, because it is a big topic for June, we are beginning that process of looking closely at the proposed FY25 budget that was referred to the Subcommittee on Finance and Property earlier this evening. So beginning tomorrow evening at 6:30 PM, that subcommittee and committee of the whole will be meeting. Chair of that committee, Councilor St. Hilaire, will begin leading us through the process of digging deeply into that budget. As the mayor mentioned in his presentation, for those interested in seeing that budget in more detail, the ClearGov online version of our proposed FY25 budget will go live, linked from the city's website by tomorrow morning. You should be able to find it and access it there. And councilors, that's for us as well. And then we'll have a series of budget hearings throughout June, and our next regular meeting happens on June 17th. We do have also a special meeting set for June 13th. That's the public hearing on the proposed budget, when members of the public can come and speak on that topic, and also the final subcommittee vote on that budget. Actually, the whole council vote, sorry. Are there other reminders or announcements from any counselors? Counselor Spang.
Thank you. The National Grid Citizens Advisory Committee meeting will be starting at, 4:30 this Thursday instead of normally at 5 o'clock, because there's a flag raising at City Hall at 5:30 on Thursday. And then there's another flag raising the following Thursday as well at City Hall at 5 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Counselor Spang. Counselor Crowley, I saw your hand as well.
Yes, just wanted to let everybody know that we are going to have a community meeting Wednesday, June 5th, between 5 and 6 at Holcroft Park to get an update and to talk about the Holcroft Park renovation project, which will be starting this summer.
Thank you very much, Counselor Crowley. Counselor Spang, back over to you.
Sorry, I have another one. Sunday, this coming Sunday, June 9th at 9 o'clock, there's a memorial ceremony for the Beverly firefighters. And then the following Saturday, the 15th, is Arts Fest downtown. So a lot happening in Beverly.
Yes, June is always a busy month, lots of great things going on. Thank you, counselors. Any other announcements or reminders? All right, well, we will be back here digging into that budget starting tomorrow evening. Thank you very much to all the members of the city staff who are here with us. Another word of congratulations to Troop 49 and their Eagle Scouts. It was a real honor to have those scouts and their families here with us this evening. Thanks to Kim in the BevCam booth, as always. Thanks for making sure that our meetings are accessible. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? 8-0. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. We're adjourned.